Warning, this video contains spoilers for various Gundam series. Have you ever felt hate on a character that you just wanna... The Gundam series is no stranger to having characters that fans absolutely despise. You know, the ones characters so frustrating and unbearable that you just watching them makes you want to pull your hair out. The kind of characters you hate so much, you secretly wish for them to meet the most brutal end possible. Just to get that sweet, sweet feeling of satisfaction. I know that sounds bad, but trust me, it's very satisfying. How about those characters you absolutely can't stand until they get humbled, go through a redemption arc, and somehow end up being the best character in the very show you initially hated them in? In contrast to my last video where I expressed my concerns about the current state of Gundam series becoming too commercialized. There's one thing I do appreciate about this new era. They're introducing a lot of some kind of zero to hero character arcs. In this video, I'm going to highlight one of my favorite Gundam characters who made me go from this to this. I'll only be discussing Gundam series released in the past 10 years, starting from 2014, though I will mix in a bit of 2000-ish series. I can assure you I've seen all of those shows in the time period, well, except for Gundam Reconquista, which I'm currently working on my way to finish it. So sit back, relax, and grab a snack, because here are my top picks for the characters who redeemed themselves in their respective series. Like I said, I did say past 2014, but I like to give a very honorable mention to Andrei Smirnov from Gundam 00 Season 2. Andrei comes off as a self-righteous and a bitter individual, driven by a lifelong mission to prove he's a better soldier than his father. With both parents being HRL soldiers, Andrei grew up embracing their ideals about protecting civilians. However, after his mother's death, caused by a tactical decision by his father, Andrei held a deep grudge. He believed his father's choice was wrong and pursued a military career to prove he could surpass him. Eventually, Andrei developed feelings for Louise Halby, but his character didn't stand out, to me at least, until the moment he killed his father, Sergei. After being manipulated from the superiors from ALOS, and Sergei was a beloved character, a father figure to Soma Pires, and his death had a real emotional weight. But during a battle, after the 00 Razor releases a massive surge of GN particles, Andrei and Pires had a heartfelt conversation where he explained why he killed his father. Although he couldn't forgive him, she acknowledged that Sergei wouldn't want her to carry the hatred towards him. At the end of the series, Andrei returns as a more grounded soldier this time. Taking on the responsibility of a disaster relief, he vows to live on like his parents, protecting the civilians and fighting against those who threaten peace. In Gundam 00 Awakening of the Trailblazer, his ultimate redemption comes in one of the most memorable sacrifices in Gundam history. Activating the Trans Am, he slices through the enemy carrier before part of its suit is assimilated by the Else. Alongside a few comrades in their Jinx 4 units, Andrei overloads his GN drive with the Trans Am, destroying the Else carrier and sacrificing themselves in the process. While Graham's sacrifice was undeniably epic, Andrei's death as a Federation soldier protecting the civilians and stand as a powerful moment of a true redemption. In the Build series, there weren't too many characters that I genuinely hated. I did notice that some of them started off as arrogant or selfish, but gradually began to think beyond themselves as the series progressed. However, it never quite reached to the point where the character went from being someone I dislike to becoming a great one. It was more of a straightforward, if I liked them, I liked them. If I didn't, then I just didn't. Not until Gundam Build Divers Re-Rise, where we meet Kazami Torimachi. And wow, this guy started off one of the most unlikable characters in the series. He was so full of himself, constantly marked to be the leader of the Build Divers. Kazami thought he was better than everyone else, but in reality he was always the one getting his butt kicked in battles. Which is a shame because his Gunpla, the Justice Knight, was actually pretty cool, not gonna lie. One of the great things about Re-Rise is that it is set in an MMO, and the only character you really know much about in the beginning is Hiroto, the main protagonist. You don't get to learn much about the others, including Kazami, until the second half of the series when their real-world identities are revealed. For the longest time, and I was convinced Kazami was a literal child, given the way he idolized a superhero named Captain Zeon and only watched the episodes where his hero was winning. Is such a childish thing to do. But after an episode dedicated to him, we learn through his old teammates that Kazami's overconfident behavior was just a facade. He was terrified of being seen as a failure. This revelation was a turning point for the Build Divers, as it was the first time they really understood him. Although Kazami didn't change overnight, the major shift came when they failed to protect Eldora. That failure shook him and the entire team to the core, making them realize that it wasn't just a story mission in a game. These were real living creatures and their only hope was the Build Divers. A key part of Kazami's growth was how he began caring for someone named Maya. I know it sounds strange, but it makes sense once you watch the anime. By the time he upgraded his Gunpla to the Aegis Knight, it was a perfect reflection of his character development. Kazami had transformed from a self-centered person to someone who genuinely cared about others. He became a true leader for the Build Divers, and his teammate recognized him as such. He had finally become the hero of justice he always aspired to be. God, I love Re-Rise. By the way, I never really gave much thought to the Captain Zeon's identity while watching the series. I honestly didn't expect the reveal when it finally happened. Don't worry, I won't spoil it here. The Witch from Mercury, the first ever Gundam series to feature a female lead, stirred up an excitement within the Gundam community. Fans were thrilled to finally see a female protagonist in such an iconic anime franchise. It's kind of surprising that it took this long for Gundam to have a female lead, especially since many other mecha shows have been fronted by female characters for years. Girls and mecha seem to be a natural mix, even in more of a questionable genres. After the emotionally intense prologue, the first episode of The Witch from Mercury introduces us to Guel, a hot-headed bully who is quick to take offense. Guel, the heir of the Jeturk family heavy machinery empire, becomes an early antagonist, setting the tone for much of the character dynamics moving forward for him. From the get-go, you can tell Guel is one of those typical rich kid bullies. After getting slapped around by Silhouette and losing to her not once, but twice, we start to see more layers to his character. We get a glimpse into his life, particularly how he was mistreated by his father, which shows that all he really wants is to prove his worth. And immediately you start to realize he's not truly a bad guy. He's actually an honorable and even somewhat of a gentleman. Unfortunately, after standing up to Suwata, he gets absolutely wrecked by Farak and loses the support of his father. As the series progressed, Suwata was having these great spectacle battles from the school while Bob here is just camping outside school getting bullied. But when during the first half ending there were a crucial moment that happened to these two characters that might change them forever in the second half. Surprisingly, Sueta didn't really undergo much character development early on. In fact, she took a little step back so that Guel could advance in his own growth. Sueta's true development didn't come until much later when he was betrayed twice. Once by Mirin and then by her own mother. I mean, that kind of betrayal is something no innocent teenage girl should have endured. Meanwhile, Guel went through a powerful transformation, especially after experiencing a harsh reality on Earth, which led him to become a pacifist who despised violence. He quickly became a fan favorite, and when he returned to school, the series gave him one of the best redemption arcs. By this point, Sueta was becoming incredibly overpowered. I mean, how could anyone hope to beat a Gundam with an override system using just regular student mobile suit? Unless of course there were weapons that could neutralize Ariel. In their fight, it was clear Ariel was about to win because she nearly shut down Skull's suit. But before that, during their regular combat, something unexpected happened.
Oh, hold on! The comeback! He's making a comeback! Oh, what is happening?
Did we just found ourselves rooting for Guel? We just cheered for him as he overcame his PTSD from his father's death, which made his victory feel even more rewarding. And nothing was as satisfying as his final battle against Michaelis. That moment was the culmination of Guel's resolve. Winning the battle even with limited firepower, Garibaldi was such a GOAT mobile suit. Afterwards, the spotlight returned to Sueta, and the rest is history. I know some characters in The Witch from Mercury didn't get the character development they deserved, but at least they gave us a fully developed and well-rounded arc for Guel. Kudos to the team behind the anime. Speaking of Garibaldi, did I mention how incredibly good looking this mobile suit is? Can someone fact check me on this in the comments section? Because maybe it's only happening in my place. Is it just me, or is HG Garibaldi getting harder to find in stores? All I see are tons of Calibarn, Aerial Rebuild, and Swarzette kits. Like seriously, there are hundreds of Calibarns on sale in Japan. Maybe Bandai overproduced Calibarn to combat scalpers? That's just my theory. What do you think? And also, it's not really a problem. I just needed another one for my expansion part sets. So it's fine. Oh boy, here we go. Let's dive into the next one. I don't think Gundam Seed needs much of an introduction. Along from Witch from Mercury, it's one of the most popular Gundam series of all time. Even if you're not a hardcore Gundam fan, you're probably familiar with the characters from this series. And it would be a disservice if we didn't mention our Lord and Savior, Kira freaking Yamato. I think we can all agree that Kira was a kind-hearted but a stubborn character. He had a bad habit of throwing himself into a dangerous situation without fully thinking things through. And let's not forget the most questionable thing he did. sleeping with his friend's fiance, who also happened to be a girl who literally said she hated his kind. But for Kira, the real development just came in the second half of the series, back in 2002 when he finally met the love of his life and he began to evolving into the character we know today. In the movie, his character development went even further as he still maintained his sense of responsibility to protect others, often at the cost of his own safety. Kira became a reluctant hero, but thankfully, a quick punch from Atheron was all it took to knock him some sense to him. But Kira's redemption is nothing compared to what this next character went through. And I know you already know who I'm talking about. No character has ever been as universally hated as Shin Asuka. For the last 20 years, this guy has been the subject of endless debates, filing Reddit threads since the platform's early days. Shin was so hated by the anime community that people seem to forget there were far worse villains in the series. It was crazy. In Gundam Seed Destiny, after witnessing his family's brutal death firsthand, Shin became traumatized. This led him to develop a short-tempered, impulsive, and stubborn personality. He was arrogant and often acted based on his emotion rather than logic, which put him at the odds with his superiors. His immaturity and occasional childish excitement made it hard for fans to empathize with him. Despite his deep-seated hatred for war and those responsible for it, this first war had scarred him deeply, and then the second war started. All hell went loose for him. Look, when I was younger, I really hated Shin, but as I grew older, I started to understand him more. Despite his shortcomings, the series gives us a glimpse of his kinder, a more gentle side of him. Shin was particularly protective of his love interests, Stella or Luna Maria. He was fiercely loyal to those he respected and worked hard to improve his skills. His determination stemmed from a trauma of losing his family. He wanted to protect others from experiencing the same pain, but this often backfired. Unlike Kira, who was reluctantly forced into battle to protect his colony and had a strong support system from the start, Shin was thrust into the military without the same foundation. Kira had friends, allies like Captain Ramius and Lacus Klein, who guided him on the right path. Shin, on the other hand, was immediately recruited into the Minerva under the command of Talia Gladys and manipulated by Durandal with Rei Zabaro swaying him in the wrong side. After Stella's death, that was the final straw. Shin didn't have anyone truly supporting him, and when Atheron tried to save him, Shin nearly killed him, further spiraling into Durandal's influence. In the original ending of Gundam Seed Destiny, fans were upset that Kira was pushed into the spotlight as the main character, while Shin and Atheron felt sidelined despite being the emotional core of the series. Due to fan feedback, the ending was revised into the HD remaster and the Final Plus. Atheron joins Kira at the Messiah and witnesses Rei shooting Durandal. The revised ending also added a moment where Shin, Kira, Lacus, Atheron, Marion, and Luna Maria pay their respects, with Kira's offering Shin a chance to work with them to prevent further conflicts. Shin tearfully accepts this offer, leading to his redemption arc. Fast forward to 2024, when Gundam Seed movie finally arrives, and Shin has joined the peacekeeping organization Compass under Kira's leadership. He pilots the Immortal Justice Gundam, the sister unit to Kira's Rising Freedom. In the movie, Shin returns to his original cheerful personality, but now carries a deep sense of responsibility, wishing Kira would trust him and their team more. Shin's true redemption comes when he shines in battle. In one epic moment, Shin faces off against 4 Black Knights in coordinated melee attack. Using the Destiny Gundam's Mirage Colloid system, Shin creates physical afterimages of his suit, destroying 3 of the Black Knights in awe-inspiring scene. His final blow with the Requiem was the long overdue moment of the triumph of a character who had been hated for decades. Of all the anime redemption arcs, I've seen Shin Asuka stand out as one of the longest, taking over 2 decades to finally get the recognition he deserves. The only character who might rival this kind of long-term redemption is Frieza from Dragon Ball Super. And that wraps up my list of characters who went from L to W. I was going to add Yizak, but honestly I never really hated him that much. His biggest sin was killing those civilians, but after that, he mostly just got wrecked by Kira repeatedly. For a video only mentioning 5 characters, I didn't really expect to take this long. And I'm sure I have missed some great redemption arcs, so comment below and let me know which Gundam characters you think redeemed themselves the most. As always, thank you so much for making it this far. And my god, September was an absolutely crazy month for me. So much has happened. I did also spend a ton of time playing Gundam Breaker 4 and it literally consumed all my free time. So I had to set it aside just to finish this video. Also, they've announced a brand new Gundam trading card game and I'm super excited to open this booster packs right in this channel. So I've been thinking, for my next video I'll be trying something a little bit different and I really hope it does well, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me keep making more content for you guys. So see you in the next one. Bye builders.